Pranayama, the complete guide to Hindu breath practice. Prana, ayama, kumbhaka, bandha, nadi. All 14 classical pranayamas explained in full depth. The complete nadi and chakra energy system. Kumbhaka, the 3 types and their practice. The 3 bandhas that seal and direct the breath. Sacred timing, classical ratios, traditional sequences. Sources in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, Yoga Sutras, and Shiva Samhita. Complete contraindications and safety guidelines. Personal reading series, April 2026. Table of contents, Part 1, Foundations. 1. What is pranayama? Purpose and history. 2. 3. 72,000 energy channels. 4. The chakras and their relationship to breath. Sacred timing, when and how to practice. Asana mudra and preparation for pranayama. 7. Locks that direct prana. 8. Kumbhaka, the art of breath retention. Part 2, the 14 pranayamas. 9. Nadi Shodhana, channel purification. 10. Alternate nostril with retention. Anuloma, Vilovan, Surya Badana, sun piercing. Sujay, the victorious or ocean breath. Ujjayi, the victorious or ocean breath. Kapalabhati, skull shining breath. Prastrika, Pramari, homing bee breath. 17. Chitali, Kuni breath. 20. Traditional sequences, how to combine pranayamas. Classical ratios. Outcome. Safety, contraindications. The classical texts on pranayama. 1. What is pranayama? Philosophy, purpose, and history. Pranayama. Prana equal to life force breath, ayama equal to extension, expansion, control. Pranayama is one of the 8 limbs of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, described in the Yoga Sutras as the 4th limb, coming after asana and before pratyahara. It is often translated simply as breath control, but this is too narrow. Pranayama is the science of extending, directing, and mastering prana, the vital life force that animates all living beings, through the vehicle of breath. The relationship between breath and mind is the key insight of pranayama. The breath is the only autonomic function of the body that can be brought under conscious control. By consciously regulating the breath, the practitioner gains indirect access to the autonomic nervous system, the flow of prana through the nadis, and ultimately the waves of the mind itself. When prana moves, the mind moves. When prana is still, the mind is still. The yogi achieves steadiness of mind through breath control. Hatha Yoga Pradipika 2.2. Historical sources. Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the first systematic treatment of pranayama as a limb of yoga. 4 sutras define pranayama as regulation of the movements of inhalation and exhalation, leading to the thinning of the veil covering the light of knowledge. The most detailed classical text on pranayama describes 8 primary kumbhakas with precise instructions. The primary source for most of the practices in this guide. Garanda Samhita describes 8 pranayamas with detailed instructions, include Shitali, Bastrika, Brahmari, Murcha, and Plavini, alongside the Kumbhaka practices. Shiva Samhita, 5 pranayamas described within a broader tantric framework, with emphasis on Kundalini awakening. Yoga Upanishads, a collection of minor Upanishads including Yoga Chudamani, Darshana, and others containing detailed pranayama instruction. 2. Prana, the life force behind the breath. Prana is not oxygen. It is not simply air. Prana is the subtle vital energy that pervades all living things and flows through the universe itself. The breath is its most accessible vehicle, but prana is also absorbed through food, sunlight, water, and the company of awakened people, the 5 pranas. Classical yoga texts describe prana as differentiated into 5 vayas, each governing a different region and function of the body. 3. The nadis, 72,000 energy channels. The nadis are the subtle energy channels through which prana flows in the body. The classical texts count 72,000 nadis, 14 to consider primary. 3 are supremely important for pranayama practice. The 3 principal nadis: Ida nadi, moon channel; pathway, left nostril, left side of body, base of spine; cooling, calming, feminine, lunar energy, associated with the parasympathetic nervous system, the right brain hemisphere, and the mental emotional body. When Ida is dominant, the left nostril is more open, the mind is receptive, creative, and introverted. Breathing through the left nostril activates Ida. Pingala nadi, sun channel; pathway, right nostril, right side of body, base of spine; heating, activating masculine solar energy. Associated with the sympathetic nervous system, the left brain hemisphere, and the vital physical body. When Pingala is dominant, the right nostril is more open, the mind is analytical, active, and extroverted. Breathing through the right nostril activates Pingala, Sushumna nadi, central channel; pathway, base of spine, through each chakra, crown of head, the most important nadi for spiritual practice. Normally dormant, prana flows primarily through Ida and Pingala. When pranayama balances Ida and Pingala perfectly, prana enters Sushumna and travels upward through the chakras, awakening higher states of consciousness. This is the ultimate goal of pranayama in the classical texts. Sushumna flows when neither nostril dominates, a brief, naturally occurring state that meditation and pranayama seek to prolong. Modern science on nasal dominance research at the Salk Institute and elsewhere has confirmed the nasal cycle, the nostril's naturally alternate dominance, every 90 to 120 minutes in most people. Studies show this correlates with brain hemisphere activity. Right nostril open, equal to left hemisphere more active. Left nostril open, equal to right hemisphere more active. Pranayama practitioners have known this for 3,000 years. 4. The chakras and their relationship to breath. The 7 primary chakras are energy centers along the Sushumna nadi where multiple nadis intersect. Each chakra governs specific physiological functions, psychological states, and spiritual capacities. Different pranayamas activate different chakras. 5. Sacred timing when and how to practice. The 4 daily sandhyas. Traditional pranayama is timed to the sandhyas, the junction points of the day when energy is particularly accessible. Brahma Muhurta. The Creator's hour. Air is purest, mind is clearest, the world is still. Considered the most powerful time for all spiritual practices full pranayama sequence, all types, particularly nadi shodhana, kapalabhati, anuloma viloma, and meditation. Sunrise. Morning junction, the transition from darkness to light. Solar energy begins to build. Practices, Surya Badana to build solar energy. Kapalabhati to clear morning sluggishness. Sunset. Evening junction, the transition from light to darkness. The body begins its cooling, restoring cycle. Practices, Chandra Badana to cool down. Brahmari and Nadi Shodhana for calming. Midnight. Midnight junction, rarely practiced by householders. Traditional for advanced renunciants and monastic practitioners. Practices, advanced Kumbhaka and meditation practices. General timing rules, always practice on an empty stomach. Minimum 2 to 3 hours after eating, 4+ hours after a heavy meal. Morning practice, brush teeth. Empty bowels and bladder, wash face and hands before sitting. Face east at sunrise, north at other times, traditional directional alignment. Sit on a natural fiber mat on the floor, not directly on the bare earth and not on a chair if possible. The room should be clean, well ventilated but not drafty, free of strong smells and noise. Do not practice during severe illness, very high fever, or immediately after strenuous exercise. Women traditionally rest from advanced pranayama during menstruation. Gentle nadi shodhana without retention is generally acceptable. Asana mudra in preparation for pranayama. Sitting postures for pranayama. Padmasana, the classical meditation posture, both feet resting on opposite thighs. Considered ideal for pranayama as it creates maximum stability and the natural spinal alignment that allows prana to flow freely. Requires hip flexibility. Siddhasana. One heel pressed against the perineum, other foot resting on the ankle. Considered by some texts as superior to Padmasana for pranayama specifically, it naturally stimulates Muladhara chakra. Sukhasana, simple cross-legged sitting, acceptable for beginners or those with limited hip flexibility. Use a folded blanket under the hips to tilt the pelvis forward and straighten the spine. Vajrasana, kneeling with buttocks resting on heels, the only posture traditionally permitted immediately after eating, keeps the spine naturally upright. Chair sitting, when physical limitations prevent floor sitting, sit at the front edge of the chair, feet flat on the floor, spine erect and unsupported by the chair back. Vishnu Mudra, the hand position for alternate nostril breathing. The right hand is used for all alternate nostril practices. Fold the index finger and middle finger toward the palm. This leaves the thumb to close the right nostril, the ring finger and little finger together to close the left nostril. The left hand rests on the left knee in Jnana Mudra or Chin Mudra. 7. The 3 bandhas, locks that direct prana. Bandhas are internal muscular contractions that seal prana in specific regions of the body during pranayama, preventing its dissipation and directing it upward through the sushumna. The 3 bandhas are always applied during Kumbhaka and sometimes during exhalation. Mula bandha, root lock, location perineum. How to apply: contract the perineal muscles upward and inward, similar to a Kegel exercise but more subtle. The contraction rises from the pelvic floor. Effect: contains and redirects Apanavayu upward. Seals the base of the Sushumna nadi. Awakens Muladhara chakra. Generates inner heat. Uddiyana bandha, upward flying lock. Location: abdomen, applied after full exhalation only. How to apply: after exhaling completely, draw the abdomen in and up, the belly hollows and lifts toward the spine and rib cage simultaneously. Never applied during inhalation or retention after inhalation. Effect: massages abdominal organs. Stimulates Samanavayu. Creates upward movement of prana. Awakens Manipura chakra. Jalandhara bandha, net-bearing lock, chin lock. Location: throat, applied during retention. How to apply: lower the chin toward the chest while simultaneously lifting the sternum slightly upward. The back of the neck lengthens. The chin does not need to touch the chest in beginners. Effect: compresses the carotid sinus, slowing the heart rate. Prevents prana from escaping through the throat during retention. Awakens Vishuddha chakra. Prevents dizziness during Kumbhaka. Mahabandha, the great lock when all 3 bandhas are applied simultaneously during Kumbhaka, the result is called Mahabandha. This seals prana completely within the central channel, creating maximum upward pressure on the sushumna and the chakras. It is an advanced practice. Each bandha must be stable individually before combining them. 8. Kumbhaka, the art of breath retention. Kumbhaka. Kumbha equal to pot or pitcher, the breath held like water in a vessel. Kumbhaka, the retention of breath, is the most transformative and the most dangerous element of pranayama. The classical texts give it enormous importance. Patanjali states that through pranayama, the veil covering the inner light is thinned. The Hatha Yoga Pradipika declares that Kumbhaka is the practice that most directly stills the mind. The 3 types of Kumbhaka. Paraka Kumbhaka, internal retention, retention after inhalation. The lungs are full, the breath is held inside. Both bandhas are applied, Jalandhara first, then Mula bandha. This is the more commonly practiced form. Effect: energizing, heating, building. Increases prana absorption, can raise blood pressure, avoided by hypertensive practitioners. Rachaka Kumbhaka, external retention, retention after exhalation. The lungs are empty, the breath is held outside. All 3 bandhas applied, Mula, Uddiyana and Jalandhara. This is more advanced and more intense than internal retention. Effect: deeply calming for the nervous system. Massages internal organs powerfully via Uddiyana bandha. Stimulates Apanavayu and detoxification. can cause dizziness, never practiced by beginners. Sahita Kumbhaka, intentional retention, either of the above practiced intentionally through effort, the form practiced by most students. Effect, developed capacity for Kevala Kumbhaka over time. The classical ratio for Kumbhaka practice is 1 to 4. 2. Inhale for 1 count, retain for 4 counts, exhale for 2 counts. A beginner might start with 4 to 4 8 counts. An advanced practitioner might work with 16, 64, 32 or higher. Caution, Kumbhaka should never be practiced to the point of distress, gasping, dizziness, or involuntary breaking of the breath. Forcing retention is counterproductive and potentially harmful. Build the ratio gradually over months and years, not days. Never practice advanced Kumbhaka without guidance from a qualified teacher. Contraindicated for heart conditions, hypertension, epilepsy, pregnancy, glaucoma, recent surgery. 9. Nadi Shodhana, channel purification. 10. Anuloma Viloma, alternate nostril with retention. 11. Surya Bedana, sun piercing. 12. Chandra Bedana, moon piercing. Chandra Bedana, beginner intermediate. 13. Ujjayi, the victorious or ocean breath. Kapalabhati, skull shining breath. 16. 15. Bhastrika, bellows breath. Bhastrika, active inhalation and exhalation or intermediate, more intense than Kapalabhati Bhastrika. Bhastrika equal to bellows ratio, approximately 1 breath per second. 10 to 20 breaths per round for beginners. Timing morning only. After Kapalabhati in a traditional sequence. Benefits the most powerful heating pranayama. Balances all 3 doshas according to Ayurveda. Rapidly increases oxygen and prana in the body. Awakens kundalini energy. Purifies all nadis. Quickly clears physical and mental lethargy. The HYP calls it destroyer of all diseases caused by excess wind, bile and phlegm. Avoid if stricter than Kapalabhati. All the same contraindications plus anyone with pitta imbalance. High altitude environments. Extreme heat. Never practice more than 3 rounds without rest, unlike Kapalabhati, where only the exhalation is forceful. Both inhalation and exhalation are equally forceful in Bhastrika. 1. Sit upright. Take a breath to prepare. 2. Forcefully exhale through both nostrils, lower abdomen pumps in. 3. Immediately and forcefully inhale, lower abdomen expands out. 4. Continue rhythmically. Forceful out, forceful in, forceful out. 5. After the round, take 1 deep complete inhalation, then retain with bandhas for as long as comfortable. 6. Exhale slowly. Rest. Observe the energy in the body. 7. Repeat for 2 to 3 rounds maximum. The movement is from the lower abdomen, the chest moves secondarily. Do not move the shoulders. The breath should sound like bellows, rhythmic and powerful, not erratic. 16. Brahmari humming bee breath. Brahmari humming exhalation, extremely calming or beginner. One of the safest pranayamas, Brahmari equal to large black bee, named for the humming sound it produces. Ratio inhale. Exhale with hum equal to 1 to 2 or longer. No strict ratio required. Timing any time. Particularly powerful before sleep, and meditation benefits the fastest pranayama for reducing anxiety, anger, and agitation. The sound vibration directly stimulates the vagus nerve and activates the parasympathetic system, reduces blood pressure, helps with insomnia, stimulates Ajna and Sahasrara chakras through vibration. Used in classical texts for preparation of samadhi, excellent for singers and speakers, tones the vocal cords. Avoid if ear infections or severe ear pain, very few other contraindications. One of the most universally accessible pranayamas. 1. Sit comfortably. Optionally use Shanmukhi Mudra. 2. Inhale deeply through both nostrils. 3. On the exhalation, close the lips and produce a steady more hum, like humming a note with your mouth closed. The sound should be smooth, continuous, and resonant throughout the entire exhalation. 4. Feel the vibration in the skull, face, and chest. 5. Inhale again and repeat. Shanmukhi Mudra. Close the ears with the thumbs. Place index fingers lightly on closed eyelids, middle fingers on the sides of the nose, ring fingers above the upper lip, pinky fingers below the lower lip. This seals all senses and intensifies the internal experience dramatically. The hum fills the skull like a bell. 17. Shitali, cooling breath. 1. Sit comfortably. Stick the tongue out slightly. 2. Curl the sides of the tongue upward to form a tube. Inhale slowly and completely through this tongue tube. You will feel the cool air passing over the tongue. 4. Draw the tongue in, close the mouth, retain with bandhas. 5. Exhale slowly and completely through both nostrils. 6 is 1 round. Practice 8 to 15 rounds. The cooling effect is quite noticeable. The tongue and mouth become cool within a few rounds. 18. Sheetkari, cooling breath. Pranayama, the complete guide to Hindu breath practice. Sheetkari, beginner Sheetkari sheet, equal to cold kari, equal to producing. Making ratio timing, inhale through teeth, retain. Exhale through nose, equal to 1 to 4, 2, same as Shitali. Summer, heat. After heating practices, benefits same cooling effects as Shitali. Available to those who cannot curl their tongue. Additionally, strengthens gums and teeth. The Eichwipe states it makes one beautiful as the god of love, beloved of women. Avoid of same as Shitali. Also, dental sensitivity or conditions where cold air on teeth causes pain. 1. Press the upper and lower teeth together lightly. 2. Part the lips to expose the teeth like a wide, slight smile. 3. Inhale slowly through the teeth, drawing air through the gaps. This produces a soft SS hissing sound. The tongue rests naturally. 4. Close the mouth, retain with bandhas. 5. Exhale through both nostrils. 6. Practice 8 to 15 rounds. The hissing sound gives this practice its name. The cooling effect is slightly less dramatic than Shitali, but achieves the same physiological result. 19. Murcha, swooning breath. This practice is traditionally taught only in person from teacher to student. The general outline from classical texts. 1. After establishing a full, steady pranayama practice, inhale deeply through both nostrils with ujjayi breath. Apply Jalandhara bandha firmly. This is what creates the swooning effect by compressing the carotid arteries. 3. Apply mula bandha. 4. Retain for an extended period beyond what is comfortable until the mind begins to expand outward. 5. Release both bandhas slowly. Exhale very slowly. 6. The swooning or bliss state follows naturally. Do not pursue this practice from text instructions alone. Seek a qualified teacher. 20. Plavini floating breath. 21. Surya Nuloma Viloma solar channel breathing. Pranayama, the complete guide to Hindu breath practice. Kavala Kumbhaka, spontaneous retention. Kavala Kumbhaka cannot be practiced intentionally. It is a fruit of sustained pranayama practice over years. What the classical texts describe during deep meditation, after years of pranayama practice, the breath spontaneously becomes so refined and subtle that it ceases naturally. The practitioner is neither inhaling nor exhaling, yet there is no distress. The mind is perfectly still. This is understood as prana entering the sushumna and the veil covering samadhi becoming very thin. The Hatha Yoga Pradipika. When the breath is restrained in Kevala Kumbhaka, without the effort of inhaling or exhaling, there is nothing that cannot be achieved in all the three worlds. 23. Traditional sequences how to combine pranayamas. The classical morning sequence step practice and duration purpose 1. Kapalabhati rounds of 30 to 60 pumps, clears the respiratory tract, generates heat, prepares the body, rest between rounds. 2. Bastrika rounds of 10 to 20 breaths, intensifies the heat and pranic charge built by Kapalabhati. Skip if already overheated. 3. Nadi Anuloma, the heart viloma of the practice, balancing and purifying the channels. 4. Ujjayi deepens the internalized quality, prepares for meditation. 5. Brahmari minutes, quiets the mind completely, the bridge between pranayama and meditation. 6. Medits the natural fruit of pranayama practice. 24. Classical ratios practice, the numbers behind the ratio of inhale, retain, exhale is one of the most precisely developed aspects of pranayama. Different ratios produce markedly different physiological and psychological effects. 25. Pranayama by goal. Which practice for what outcome? Safety, contraindications. Contraindications and common mistakes. You feel distress, dizziness, chest pain, or the irresistible urge to breathe. Stop immediately and breathe normally. Build slowly. The classical texts describe months and years of progression, not days and weeks. Patience is not optional, it is part of the practice. Pranayama is not suitable for everyone. Consult your physician before beginning if you have any cardiovascular, respiratory, neurological, or mental health condition. Never practice under the influence of alcohol or recreational drugs. Never practice while driving, operating machinery, or in water. Seek a qualified teacher for any retention practices. This guide provides information, not a substitute for direct instruction. Absolute contraindications, uncontrolled hypertension, heart arrhythmias or recent cardiac event, epilepsy or seizure disorders, severe anxiety or panic disorder, detached retina or glaucoma, pregnancy, recent abdominal surgery, active tuberculosis or severe asthma, severe mental illness or psychosis. Common mistakes. Mistake, breathing too fast, slower is almost always better. The mind follows the breath. Mistake, moving the shoulders during Kapalabhati Bastrika. All movement should come from the lower abdomen. Mistake, forcing retention beyond capacity. Retention should end before you feel desperate to breathe. Mistake, skipping the rest periods between rounds. The stillness between rounds is when the practice integrates. Mistake, practicing with a full stomach. Always wait at least 2 to 3 hours after eating. Mistake, expecting immediate results. Pranayama works deeply and sometimes slowly. Trust the process. 27. The classical texts on pranayama. The yogi who knows pranayama and pratyahara is freed from all diseases and lives for 100 years. Hatha Yoga Pradipika 2.39. May your practice bring stillness, clarity, and the living experience of prana moving freely through you.